the audio. Thank you. Excellent. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for being here today. We are set for our February 22nd, 2004 board meeting. Tried and true and ready to serve. I am making a declaration that a quorum is present. And with that, are there any additions to the agenda to be recognized at this time? All right, hearing none, seeing none. Moving on, has everyone had a chance to review the draft minutes for 1/25/2024? Any updates, edits, recommendations for clarity? All right, hearing none, seeing none. The chair is open to a motion to accept the draft minutes for approval for 1/25/2024. So moved. Is there a second? Has been properly seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It is unanimous. Thank you very much. The minutes are approved regarding 1/25/2024. The minutes for our February 9th board meeting will be brought forward for approval during our March meeting, along with this one as well. And so now moving on to point 4 on the agenda, the administrator's report. Jarrett?
No, sure. Thank you, Chair. So you have my written administrator's report. I'm just going to go through some of the major highlights throughout it. First up, under announcements and important meetings, on February 6th and 8th, we had our budget hearings in the General Assembly. I provided testimony to the committees about our need for additional personnel and, of course, never to cut our funding, especially in an election year. I briefed them on the poll book procurement, the implementation of the contingency plan for 2024, and our future procurements, including a new voting system, which I'll mention a little bit later on. Additionally, during legislative session, we have provided written and oral testimony on protecting the Election Officials Act of 2024. That is the administration bill and bill that also you have graciously, approved as well. So that's been, moving forward and had both really good hearings in both chambers so far. And the other one, which was House Bill 490, the election administrator, state administrator, local boards and election directors bill, House Bill 459, have been also heard in both chambers now and looking forward to moving across. And our departmental bill has been on third reader in the Senate. So things are moving, and March 18th is the crossover deadline. So we are constantly monitoring that. We are continuing our partnership with the Secretary of State as it pertains to the address confidentiality program. We're just making sure we're providing a way for victims of or survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking to be safe at home while maintaining the confidentiality of their residential addresses and making sure that they're still enfranchised. So that's, we're making sure that we're continuing that process and that they will all receive mail-in ballots and how to participate in also the petition process if they so inclined. On February 7th, I attended an ERIC board meeting. The major topic of discussion at the meeting was waiver requests on mailing for eligible but unregistered, what they considered EBU individuals. So that was a major topic there. And then on the February 9th, I attended the NASHED conference in Washington, D.C. and was able to meet my colleagues from across the nation. And like I mentioned about the procurement of a new voting system, so I just wanted to make sure that you're aware, the EAC has currently a new voluntary voting system guidelines, the VVSG. They have 2.0 standards now. Right now, Smartmatic has been, certified for that. And ES&S application for their voting system was accepted, in February for their testing. So more and more vendors are now trying to meet the new voting system guidelines as we move forward with our procurement for the new voting systems. We're keeping a major eye on that to make sure that we have some competition as we go forward with it. For new hires, I wanted to, say congrats to Natasha Walker. She's been with our agency for a lot of years and has now been promoted to IT Assistant Director. She is basically taking over Shafiq's role in that. She has been a great resource for many, many years, and I'm looking forward to her thriving in this new role of hers. And I know that she'll attack it with all the vigor that she has possessed in her past job as well. And one of the other hires in SBE is Victoria Barbwick, who is now working with Verona in the budget division. So we are finally backfilling some of our positions here and making sure that there is no single points of failure, that we have some redundancies there. So that's been excellent, great. And Prince George's County has, on local level there, has hired a new deputy as well. So that's great that Prince George's County now is complete with their set as well. We had an election directors meeting on February 15th, where we hosted a tabletop exercise. It was focusing on more mail-in ballots. It was very intense, and we learned a lot, and it was a very worthwhile exercise. And I just want to thank, of course, Katie Berry and Guy Mickley and his team over there for putting this all together and making it a success. We're going to have more tabletops throughout the year. This is just to kind of always keep us refreshed. And as we have new staff and new election directors, it's important that they understand worst case scenarios, possibilities here. And then now on to election reform and management, and Marianne will cover that for us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll just quickly highlight, I don't really have any changes, but we are monitoring the bills for the 2024 Maryland General Assembly session. Everything is related to elections. The alternate early voting center submissions are in, and they're currently under review. Alternate centers, as a reminder, I'm sure you probably know that those are centers that are used in the event that an emergency arises and they need to move to another center. Polling place plans have been approved all but for one, Baltimore City. That will happen soon. The only thing that we anticipate now after that would be like emergency changes. If something should happen and we need to switch, that's the kind of change that you might hear about, and that can happen up to the election. Election judge recruitment, we haven't really heard of any particular need for election judges yet. We're in touch with our local boards to make sure where the need may be. We did see an article that went out from Washington County, so we checked in with Barry up there to make sure they had what they needed. And so we have forwarded some resources. But it looks like he's doing okay right now, and we'll continue that conversation with him. Power the Polls, still sending weekly lists. They were fantastic last election, and so far we've got 185 judges that we've been able to forward to the local boards from them alone. Our website, we're also doing a fantastic job pulling in folks. We have, as of February 13th, 556 additional people signed up using our website link. MBA recruitment and advertisements. I believe I shared this with you before, but we have developed some posts that are running statewide in the MBA locations to help with recruitment. And so we're super excited to be partnered with them to do this. Election judge training is off to the races, and we have already been to one jurisdiction, Montgomery County, to check out their training. So those evaluations are going to continue on to election. The emergency texting solution, we had a rollout meeting on February 14th. Since then, I think I shared with you, that would be something that would be used only for emergency situations in the polls so that the local boards can talk to the personnel in the field. And so far, we've had about a third of the LBEs have signed up for individual training, and it's going well. Really easy platform to use. I always say if I can do it, anybody can do it. So they're busy working on that. Correctional facility voting, the voting packets are going out to the state and local correctional facilities this week. Just sent out an email notification with instructions and step-by-step kind of stuff for them as well. We, of course, are working with each facility, trying to talk about pain points and such and trying to alleviate those. And we have a new lead that's going to be working with them to empty the boxes and such. And so we feel it's a super good fit because she's done it before and has that background with the correctional facility. So excited about that. Provisional ballot application update. There was a paper issue with carbon. It's called carbonless paper. It's kind of hard for me to wrap my mind around because we always say carbon paper with that provisional ballot application. So they were having a little bit of a hard time getting it. And they have identified April 3rd as the delivery date, or earlier now, since they had a few other jobs drop out. So hopefully we'll get them there even before that April 3rd deadline. We've also developed or updated the provisional ballot sign-in sheet to capture information on that reason code 4 already voted or requested about, to capture information required from the OLA that was recently completed. So that's out there for the local boards. And we just had our first class of May, the Maryland Election Administration Education Program. That was conducted on January 31st. And the topic was PIA requests. And it was very well received by the local boards. They thought it was great. So I'm really happy about it. The next class is scheduled for March 7th on E40 processing. Does anyone have any questions for me? Hi, Janet.
Hi, I would like to know a little more, if you can tell us, what the election judge training evaluations entail.
Okay. So we try to make sure that we make sure that they're giving all the information that they should, that's involved in with the curriculum, any important updates, hot kind of topics that they're touching on. For instance, this time around, we want to make sure they're including the new or the latest and greatest NFB statement. I'm sorry. So that's one of the things we would check off to make sure that they are talking to their trainees about.
What do? Just review the written material, or have classes started? Do you sit in on a class, or?
We will sit in class. So
Okay.
we get their schedules, and then we find a date that's going to work, and we let them know we're coming out. And then
Okay.
we sit in class and we monitor the entire thing.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mary Ann. I truly appreciate it. If there's no further questions, I do have one. Can we be notified about those class opportunities if we want to join?
The May training classes?
Yes.
Sure. I don't see why not.
If any of the members go ahead, Jarrett.
No, I was going to say, yeah, of course. Yeah.
If any of the members are interested, that information is going to be provided. Thank you very much, Mary Ann, to participate in those events and on an ongoing basis. I think that would be great for us to show up, if at all possible, to be more educated about what we do. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Janet.
I've already signed up for training classes in Montgomery County because I want to keep my, knowledge up to date. So I talked to the local board, not a problem.
That's excellent. Thank you so very much for that inspiration, Janet, and motivation. With that, thank you, Mary Ann. Back to you, Jarrett.
Sure. I guess now we'll just do a little bit about voter registration. We had a new party, No Labels Maryland, has been on January 31st. been certified as a new political party in the state of Maryland. So they have met the petition requirements and submitted the Constitution and bylaws. So they are now a new political party and have ballot access. MD Voters release 9.5 was scheduled on February 16th, and that included development for ballot processing, election judge enhancements, and candidate filing enhancements. So that's been handled. The audits for voter registration data continues for compliance with federal and state laws. And we are receiving our monthly ERIC reports. On even number months, we have received for February, we received the in-state updates and cross-state ones and national change of address reports. So that's what that's what we got in February. And then there's the statistics of the MVA transactions in the month of January. For right now, just in total, on Valentine's Day, we have over 4.1 million, over 4.1 million registered, active registered voters in the state of Maryland. For this candidacy and campaign finance division, the big day was Friday, February 9th, at 9 o'clock was the candidate filing deadline. It ended. We had 445 candidates file at SBE. The 20th was the withdrawal deadline. And the next major deadline now for candidacy is February 26th, which is the deadline for a registered voter to file a petition to challenge the residency of a candidate. And ballot certification will occur no later than March 11th. Public financing is very robust in Baltimore City. We have 6 candidates that have filed for the notice to participate, with 3 being certified already in the program. And the program has dispersed over $173,000 so far. We have, of course, keeping and working with the county, Baltimore County and Prince George's County, as they are getting their programs online for the first time in 2026. So Alan and his team have been working with them to make sure that their programs will be ready for the 2026 election. There was no significant enforcement actions in the month of January. For information systems, technology, and cybersecurity, we have implemented a new phone system for the agency. So it replaced the aging system with a new cloud-based digital system, and it works with mobile devices, computers, everything. It's actually really cool. I enjoy it. It does pop up, but you can make all sorts of phone calls off your phone and also your computer. So it's very useful, and I think that it's a good use of the technology to help to make sure that we're all in good communication with everyone as well. Basically, the new poll book and contingency plan here has been ongoing, and we have been, implementing our contingency plan and moving forward, and we have executed using the Easy Roster poll books, and so we've gotten the licensing and an option for 2025, just in case special elections or municipalities need to use it. So that, we're covered for those elections in 2025 and moving forward with it. And from what I've heard is that those Georgia poll books have been used and are quite helpful. So that was very, very good. The new voting system is underway. Like I said, more and more vendors are now submitting for certification to the new EAC 2.0 standards. But right now we're on our way with our team. We have a project manager, a business analyst, and a tech writer. So we're working to generate and release that request for proposal and RFP. And the new campaign finance reporting system is also underway. And we've had a tech writer selected. We already had a project manager. And so they started work starting February 9th and have really hit the street running. And I'm looking forward to some drafts on that. Under cybersecurity here, we have continued to make sure that we are, managing our systems and ensuring multiple layers of independent threat monitoring and security systems here. You will be briefed in closed session a little bit more about this here. And AI, we plan to, on artificial intelligence, we plan to distribute a draft of an acceptable use policy very soon on that. And we are trying to develop strategic plans for establishing policies for the responsible use of generative AI and large language models as well for elections. So we are trying to use the new technology, but in a responsible manner here. And it is, a lot of testing and a lot of sites going on to it. Just overall, every time, it's going to be a very useful tool in the future, especially when you train the AI correctly. But you definitely need to have human oversight to make sure that, the answers are correct. So nothing is going to go over without at least some checks by humans first. Under procurement, we're in development of like I said, the online campaign finance reporting system. That contract expires March 31st, 2025. And we are making sure that we have all the contracts in place here. So, just kind of already reported that. And we've had a bunch of little other procurements as well in the course of this election here. But one of the other ones too is just to make sure that I just want to highlight is that we have, awards for our help desk and also for social media monitoring as well for this upcoming election. So we have a lot of, we'll be prepared for that. Under the project management here, we have, the warehouse team is still providing support for the poll book project team and the central warehouse. Inventory audit has started, and we are, moving along here with a third so far completed. And, we are making sure that, we are underway for their operations. The project management team is underway for our primary election day operations. In local board news, I always like to bring them in on this as well. Carroll County had that a new set of I voted stickers and future voter stickers partnering with public schools. They had a contest recently and awarded the winners. I was not able to attend in person, but I was able to Zoom in on them. And of course, what high school and, elementary and middle school kid doesn't want to have a visit from the state administrator while they're eating, cake and everything else. So that was a lot of fun just to make them understand the importance of voting, and that I really enjoyed their artwork. One had a nice terrapin in a Maryland flag, and Katie Berry was present for the office there. Dorchester is relocated their office and warehouse, and we have established the networks there. So that's been, so they're nice and prepared for the upcoming election. And, we are making sure that we have coverage with the regional managers on all the LBEs as well. On the Carroll County one there, the I voted stickers, I've talked to the local director up there, and we are going to submit those I voted stickers to the EAC to see if they can win a Cleary, which is their awards for the best I voted sticker for 2024. So we'll see if Maryland can pull out an award on that front there. And for the exercise of delegated duties. One of the delegated duties is that the mail-in ballot request form was amended, of course, to add the No Labels Maryland political party now on there. We just added that in there.
All right, Jared, you have 2 questions.
Sure.
Go ahead, Jake.
Smith.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Demarais, thank you. And first, I got to say thank you for bringing up the Carroll County stickers. I definitely think that middle school award winner could be a strong. I saw that in the list of possibilities, and see that as a middle school winner. That's a pretty good one.
Yes.
I think the high school winner one is nice, but I would prefer a Chesapeake Bay Retriever to a Terrapin if I'm being honest. I wanted to go back to the Easy Roster and the poll book project, and just ask you, talked about Easy Roster. You talked a little bit about the Georgia poll books as well. When it comes to the 2024 primary in general, how are you feeling when it comes to making sure that we're going to have the capacity, the tools, the backup if necessary to make sure that everything runs smoothly?
So first up, this is equipment that the locals it's tried and true. It has supported us, our elections, and it has been, something that also I would say, the returning election judges also are very familiar with. So all that kind of breeds a lot of, as a contingency plan, having that as being, the contingency plan has, I would say, eased a little bit of it. Yes, the technology is, I'm going to say, older than what we would want going into this 2024 election, which was why we did the procurement in the first place here. But, it is still very much able to handle the load that we have and the functionalities for Maryland. So I think that for this election here, we're in the best place that we can be, and making sure that the judges also feel very comfortable. If it was new equipment as a contingency plan with everything else,
Sure.
That would have disrupted the operations, and you would have had to go into it. And which is why I think every time when we do major IT projects here, you always have to think about a build out for 2 years, because the training aspect here is, making sure that not only are the local staff, familiar with it, the ins and outs of it, because then they have to then train all the election judges outside of this as well. So you have to make sure that everyone gets hired.
And in terms of just the equipment,
Mhm.
right? Backup for, some of this is older equipment at this point. You feel good about what we've got there?
Yes, right now,
Awesome.
yes.
Awesome. And just thank you for all your transparency and information on this stuff. It's great.
All right, Janet.
Real quick, you put the SBE plans to distribute its draft acceptable use policy for artificial intelligence. Can we be on the mailing list for that?
I will double check to see, but yes, internally, fine. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there's no more questions, go ahead.
Well, with that, I submitted the administrator's report.
Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. Thank you, members, for the questions and the clarity, and staff for your due diligence. Truly, truly appreciate it as we gear up for the 2024 election. With regards to the Assistant Attorney General's report, number 5 on the agenda. Dan?
Of course, good afternoon, board members. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Litigation is up by 100% for the State Board of Elections. You now have 4 items on the AAG report instead of 2. We'll go through them in order, and I'll go through them summarily. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to field them. First up is the Harvey v. DeMarinis ongoing suit in the Supreme Court. Oral argument took place on February 5th, and thereafter the court ordered the parties to engage in mediation. There was a mediation session on the 14th, and other than that, the case remains pending. The other case that is a return to the list is the Gibson v. Frederick County Fourth Circuit litigation. There are no updates to that. There is still a pending motion before the Fourth Circuit for oral argument. The Fourth Circuit has not granted that motion. That motion was made by the appellants, not by SVE or any of the other defendants in the case. And we are just waiting for a result on that motion and ultimately an opinion in that case resolving the dispute before the Fourth Circuit. The two new cases, numbers 2 and 3 on the list, are Sullivan v. Summers, number 2 on the list. And congratulations, Mr. Chair, on your being for the first time a named plaintiff in the SBE lawsuit. This is a suit by two.
I seem to be very historic in many ways.
Yeah, right.
It is a suit by two of Maryland's registered voters against the state board and the state administrator in their official capacities for violations of the National Voting Rights Act, the First Amendment, and Maryland administrative law. The primary allegation is that the board's regulation defining electoral process for purposes of the voter registration list and what that list may be used for violates those three provisions: the NVRA, the First Amendment, and Maryland administrative law. Currently, the complaint was filed on January 18th. OAG will be filing a response on behalf of SBE by the deadline, which is currently March 8th. The second suit that was served and on SBE since your last meeting and today was Wicomico County branch of the NAACP v. Wicomico County. This is a suit by registered voters in Wicomico County and the Wicomico County branch of the NAACP against the local government, the local board of elections, the local board of education, and now the state board, alleging that the county is apportioned in violation of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And very briefly, what that means is that currently Wicomico County is apportioned with 5 councilmanic districts and 2 at-large districts. So it's a 7-seat council and a 7-seat board of education with 1 council member and 1 member of the board of education coming from each of the 5 councilmanic districts and 2 members of each board coming or being voted on at large. SBE has been named a defendant in the lawsuit because the law that imposes the structure for the Board of Education is a state law codified in the Maryland Code Education article. And therefore, there was a state defendant was essentially required. SBE is now that state defendant because it is charged with conducting the elections on behalf of the Board of Education. Any court order in the case any court order that would order the election to go on or not, according to Wicomico County's apportionment, would be directed at SBE because SBE conducts the elections. Fortunately, neither the councilman, neither the council nor the Board of Education, none of the seats are up for election in 2024. So this litigation should not have an effect on the 2024 election. Any outcome in this case, should the councilmanic districts change, would affect the 26 election. And with that, I'll submit the report. And if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Dan. Since I've been chair, I have never been sued more times in my life ever. I don't look forward to it ever happening again, but it also lets me know that we are responsive to the community. Community's paying attention and holding us to account, and we have able representation in council in order to seek resolution for the residents, someone to be. So thank you so very much, Dan. We greatly appreciate it. And members, armor up. All right. So moving on, looking at number 6, approval of regulations. Here we go with the exciting stuff. Again, armor up. So these have been proposed and put out for public comment and return. No public comment was received for the proposed regulations. So we are now moving these proposed to affirm and with your approval, the regulations proposed by the state administration. With that being said, we are looking at, and for to move expeditiously here, we've discussed these robustly in our prior board meetings. So there's no gotchas, there's no amendments, there's nothing changed with regards to them other than what was done prior to with our knowledge and our input. So looking at regulation A 33.11.03.06 all the way down to regulation H 33 point, I mean I 33.07.08.01 dealing with ballots and provisional voting. If there's, okay, Janet, go ahead.
I'd like to point out that the one that's listed under I, 33.11.03.8, also appears as item O farther down. And then on the second page.
We don't on the agenda I'm looking at, we don't have item O. That's fine.
Oh, okay, I guess
and
it isn't the most up to date.
I think we
Okay.
have an updated one. Yes, Janet, I'm so sorry because you definitely should have the updated
Okay.
agenda item. But I assure you, Janet, the ones that I've pointed out, and someone in administration should get that to her promptly, the updated agenda, so that
Okay.
we're looking at the same thing. A is if you have A through I, and Janet, on the agenda you're looking at I 33.07.08.01 electioneering polling place. Is that correct?
That's G on the one I'm looking at.
That's G on the one you're looking
I guess
at.
I
Okay.
don't have the most up to date.
I just sent another one to you.
Thank you
I
so
guess-
very
I
much.
think I think that that original one kind of repeated itself on
Okay.
yours, maybe Janet, because it's
Yeah.
the same one, and I think we kind of cleaned that up. So just
All
check
right.
your email now.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
I wanted to propose, thank you very much for that heads up, Janet. Thank you, Jared, for getting us on the same page. I would like to propose that we take in lumps on the regulations cited A through I. Is there any problem? Is there a motion to approve the proposed regulations that are back from public comment? There was no public comment for acceptance. Jake,
Like to move the motion?
so moved. Is there a second? There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you so very much for that, Vice Chair. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. So moved. The regulations are approved. 33.11.03.06, 33.11.0403, 33.07.08.01, 33.07.09.01, 33.11.03.02 and 08, 33.16.03.01, 33.17.06.10, 33.07.08.01 are approved unanimously by the board. Thank you all so very, very much. I greatly appreciate that. Now moving on to J on the agenda, regulation titled ballot drop box firearms at boxes, 33.11.01.04. This has been highlighted because I really wanted to thank my board members who provided robust discussion, extreme forethought in our deliberation. This was a heavy lift, but I think because we came together in a nonpartisan manner, looking at what's best for all Maryland voters and their safety at the polls, I think speaks to an extremely functioning, high level functioning board and we learned a lot from everyone's perspective, everyone on the board's perspective, and showing us how we move forward collectively for the voters of Maryland. And I couldn't be prouder to put this forward to you guys for approval, because it was brought to us and offered to us in a very respectful way by our previous chair, now vice chair, Bill Volk, that allowed for us to get to this point. And I just want to honor that. I need, you guys to understand that, and you guys carried on today, the new members, Jake and Janet, making this what it is. And it's been put out to for public comment, and it did not receive any public comment. I think that speaks to our due diligence as being responsible members to the overall body that we serve, which is the Maryland voters. So thank you all so very, very much. And with that being said, the chair is open to a motion to approve Regulation 33.11.01.04. Is there a motion, Jake? All right, so moved. Is there a second? It has been properly seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand or vote. Gotcha. Is all for being present and voted for unanimously. It is so moved. Thank you all so very, very much. Now, looking at the other two regulations. So we've been very busy, folks. We've been very, very busy considering all the regulations that we need to have in place for this 2024 election. It is our first election as a board. And again, I think we've been guided significantly by the state administrator, staff, and the members who are dedicated to the authenticity of our efforts. So with that being said, K and L, if you have that, they are synonymous or similar, very similar. So I'd like to move those together. If there's any opposition or recommendation that we don't, please say so now. If not, we are looking at regulations 33.11.05.04, canvas of AB ballots, rejecting ballots, multiple ballots from same individual, 33.16.06.04, canvas of provisional ballots, rejecting ballots, ballot rejection, multiple ballots from same individual. Again, these two regulations have been through robust debate by this current board, put out to the public for public comment. No public comment has been received by the state board of election regarding these two regulations. The chair is open at this time for a motion to approve the proposed regulation. Jake, so moved. Is there a second? Been probably seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. So moved. Thank you very much. Those regulations carry with a unanimous consent of the board. Thank you all so very, very much. Jared, moving on to number 7, approval of waiver requests, Title 13.
Yes, and that will be handled by Alan Norfleet. So welcome, Alan, to the board now.
Yeah, thank you.
And he'll be taking over all the campaign finance ones now for waiver requests for Title 13, 14, and confidentiality requests.
Wow, you look like your stature, Alan. So very robust and effective. Thank you so very much, sir. With the blazer on, you do this. Did you have a tie on today? Did you do that to us again? Thanks, Alan. I'll let you go.
We'll start with the Title 13. I'm presenting 4 approvals and 3 denials. And does anyone have any questions, any discussion? Okay.
Hearing none, move on. All right.
So Title 14, I have 5.
Wait, they have to get a vote.
Oh, sorry, I skipped a point.
Right. Yeah.
The chair's open for a motion. It's been moved. by Member Weissman. Is there a second? It's been probably seconded. Thank you, Member Millicent. Really appreciate that, Vice Chair. And with that, is all those in favor of accepting the administrator's approval of a waiver request Title 13, please indicate by raising your hand. It's been moved. Thank you, and unanimously consented to. Thank you very much by the members. And so approved. Moving on to number 8, approval of waiver request Title 14.
Yes, I have 5 approvals up for vote. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Hearing none, seeing none, the chair is, thank you very much, Al. Open for a motion to approve Title 14 waiver request. So moved. Thank you very much, Member Weissman. Is there a second? So moved. Thank you. So seconded, probably seconded by the Vice Chair. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. You have a unanimous consent. Thank you very much. Approval of waiver 14 waiver request Title 14 has been moved. Thank you very much, Alan.
Thank you.
Approval of confidentiality requests.
I did not know I was doing those
Oh,
today.
It's
Sorry.
okay.
Okay.
It's okay. Jake,
I'd like to move that we approve the confidentiality request.
thank you so much. Is there a problem second? Yes, it has been seconded by Vice Chair. Thank you very much, Vice Chair Vogt. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. So moved. Greatly appreciate it, members. And now polling place plans. And thank you, Alan. Really appreciate that, getting us through that. Moving on to polling place plans and emergency changes. Oh, Baltimore City.
Yes. So we have the Baltimore City has submitted their polling place plan to us for your review and for approval. I have reviewed the polling place plan and have found it acceptable moving forward with it. I did notice, I just want to, I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead,
I'm sorry, I
Janet.
think Member Millicent has her hand up, or is that?
Go ahead.
Well,
That's all right.
finish what you're saying about it. I do have a question.
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry, I didn't know if it was something on the other one there. But we have reviewed it and we have moved forward with it for acceptance on my belief that it does cover it and they've met the letter of the law with it. There was as you can see from the plan here, there was a reduction from 2018 to 2024. But if one, I just want to put in 2 caveats in there, that Baltimore City has gone through 2 redistrictings. So it's not like, it's not also when we were comparing this from last election, the drop wasn't as significant. It was only 3 polling places between 2022 to 2024. So, and with that was I believe a ghost precinct involved in there as well. So, and a ghost precinct, for those that don't know or that are watching it on the web here, is it's not a Halloween precinct or anything like that. It's a precinct. When you overlay all the maps, there is literally no voters that exist in that area there. There's not a house or anything like that. It is just, there's nothing there. So, and we just call those ghost precincts for our purposes here. We have Abigail, who is the acting local board director now online here to answer any and all questions for you on this front here. But you know, with that, we have you have over 183 polling places, their locations, and this is the final plan as well. And since it's within the 6-month period as well, that's why it was considered emergency as well. So with that, I present the plan for your approval and to move forward.
Thank you very much, Jared. Janet?
Yeah, I understand that the number of precincts stays the same, and there are good reasons to reduce the number of polling places. The building is closed, not available. And one thing I noticed, and I'll admit I have not looked at other counties, there's a column in the charts, is the polling place in the precinct. And almost 50% of these polling places, the answer is no. And my question is that typical? Is that something you see in other counties where no appropriate polling place within the precinct was available? Like I say, it was almost literally out of the 296 precincts. I may have slightly miscounted. I added up to 293, but 143 of them had said no, the polling place is not in the precinct. And again, how typical or atypical is that statewide? Do any of you have a feel for that?
So I can say statewide, when you have these, or you combine polling places, the idea is to make sure that the polling place is inside or adjacent to the precinct. Here, I think specifically for Baltimore City, I will let Abigail answer the question as to the selection of those. But yes, the state would, and state law wants you to have your polling place inside the precinct. And that's why we have these plans. Otherwise, to explain why it cannot be done inside the precinct.
So Abigail, would you like to address that on behalf of Baltimore City in explanation to Member Miller question? Well, we believe she was on the line, and we may have to hold on that until she is present. But I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jared, in looking at some of the other plans and proposals, there needed to be polling places outside of, because there's no structure there. There's no present location. So affable location for or certifiable location for the polling place in that precinct. But Jake, go ahead. And we're not skipping you, Janet. I'm just going to go.
No, actually, to go to Ms. Millicent's question, looking through the document, there's a lot of them that say we are so dense that each polling place sits right up against another.
Yeah.
And we've always had the voters vote in this location. It may not be in the precinct, but it's the nearest one to the voters and the voting population. And from my experience in the city, with how tight the city can be in places and how much the polling places can be, sometimes, I mean, the precincts can sometimes be a couple city blocks, that can be part of the explanation for this.
So you're saying there's a lot of consolidated polling places? In other words, one polling place serves numerous precincts? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, I can help out if you want. We've been
Sure.
in the weeds of this. So
Yes.
there's actually not a ton of consolidations in Baltimore City. Less than most, but because of the availability of buildings, and I apologize, I'm trying to text Abigail. I think we might have her in like listen only mode. There's a couple different options in Zoom. We're new to this. That the polling places are in immediately adjacent precincts, and the precincts in Baltimore City are so itty bitty that it's within a block or two in either direction, but it technically falls outside of the precinct. And it's also probably where these people have voted for, I think Jared said this, for like decades.
All right, Janet, does that help address your query?
Yeah, again, I noticed, I'm not that familiar with the geography of Baltimore City. I'll confess, I only, know some of the good restaurants and things like that. But I hadn't looked at it for other counties, and it did strike me as a remarkable percentage, and I didn't know if that was, what was the reasoning, or what was the what factors led to that, but that sounds like a sensible explanation.
And if you look at it, a lot of them are schools too, so, and they have multiple rooms then that they can say, oh, this services this precinct, this services that precinct, in the school, because, they have the ability to house that many, I would say, precincts. But as you can see, it's not overwhelming in like one school or not, that people are traversing across the city. And they have to always be adjacent to that building, that precinct in which is housing the polling place.
Okay,
All
I
right, thank you,
appreciate
Jake.
the explanation.
No problem.
Thank you very much, Jake.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. And first off, Ms. Millen said, anytime you want to take a road trip to the greatest city in America, I'm more than happy to do that with you. My quick question, I know the representative from Baltimore City isn't on, but can I get a better understanding as to why this is so late?
So I have been in touch with Abigail there. I'm, making sure that she's trying to get in there. But they seem to have probably called in the wrong line. So, but basically at this point here, she was the redistricting plan that the city had proposed to the city Board of Elections wasn't adopted in full until January. So it took them a while to get it up and running, to do the redistricting portions of it. And then once the lines were done and drawn and uploaded into the system, that's when they were able to then figure out the new precincts and to see if they needed to do any sort of lines there. That was at least what they had said to me on that front there. So we are trying to get her on the line.
I think she might be
coming on now.
Okay, good.
Abigail? So if we don't hear from her, Jared, oh, hello, Abigail?
Hear me? Oh, yes. Sorry
Yes.
about that.
No
Okay.
problem. We understand. Believe me, I just went through this the last meeting and I got a lot of heat for it, but I'm not going to give you any heat. I am really respectful of your due diligence to join us despite that. And you may be out there in traffic or whatnot. Please be careful. But I do appreciate you being here for us. And there were two questions. I don't know if you heard, Member Millicent asked, and I'll repeat these questions. Member Millicent asked about the polling places and precincts. She was a little concerned about the number of precincts not having the polling place within that precinct. But our state administrators explain the issue or significance of adjacency along with his staff. But is there anything you have to add to that reason and rationale as to why every precinct does not have its own polling place?
And Mr. Damaris, he did explain it correctly. It's just because we are such a small area with so many precincts and wards, 295, that it's really impossible to have each precinct having their own polling place. So we do have them within walking distance of that polling place, but we cannot have each one stationed inside a polling place, precinct itself.
Understood. And so the city's density and its size is a factor there, which is unique, I would
Correct.
imagine, to anywhere else in the county or the state. So thank you so very much for that. Now, Member Weissman is present. Thank you, Abigail. I truly appreciate that, that confirmation. He's here now. That's our most recent question. He'll ask this question to you directly, since you are here with us.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just looking to better understand why this is so late in the process.
Okay, so we had to go through a city council redistricting, which was not finalized until the end of December and signed off by the mayor until January. So once it was signed off and we decided, what had to be changed or what did not have to be changed, my polling place manager rushed to get it finished. He did a yeoman's job getting it done in the shorter time. We are sorry that it was so late, but when doing 295 polling places, and figuring out the population density and the other information that was needed, it just took a little longer than was expected.
That makes complete sense. Thank you so much, and thanks for your diligence on this.
Well, thank you. You're welcome.
Greatly appreciate that. With that being said, are there any other questions of Abigail? If not, we greatly appreciate and respect your time and give that back to you. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. Bill?
No,
yeah.
it's Dan Coburn, UDH.
Okay. I
Just
didn't see you.
procedurally,
Thanks, Dan.
when the board takes a vote, because these are technically emergency changes, since we're in February 22nd now, this is technically a two-part vote. The first part you're doing normally and everything is doing fine. You're going to vote now on the polling place plan, or when you choose to vote, it'll be on the polling place plan as you've planned to do. Next month, you're going to get a list of specifically what changed between 22 and 24, because
Right.
those emergency changes are subject to the board approval as well. And you'll get a brief explanation of why the changes are made. The city board of elections have actually put that information up on their website, so voters and residents can see it. It's going to make its way in front of the board, this board, next month for your approval. So your vote is technically a two-parter. The first part's today. The next part will be next month.
Thank you very much for that point of clarification. Greatly appreciate it. That's proactive counsel, guys. No, anyway, now the chair is open for a motion to accept the polling place plans as presented for Baltimore City. Jake?
Like to move that we accept the polling place plan?
So moved. Is there a second? It's been probably seconded by Member Millicent, and greatly appreciate it. All those present, please signify by raising your hand in approval. 1 second, I gotta check. So moved. Unanimous consent of all our fabulous board members today. We're moving fast here, folks, considering this robust agenda. So thank you guys for the oil there, Dan. Moving on, number 11, early voting plans updates. Washington County. Jared.
Yep. So now we have finally the Washington County Local Board of Elections has selected the second mandatory site. It is at Smithsburg, and we have reviewed it and is submitted for your approval. I have reviewed it as well and made the recommendation for approval for this site. Overall, this site now will cover over 94% of the population of Washington County. And it will also help alleviate any of the, because it overlaps in the 10-mile radius with Hagerstown, it will help alleviate any, I would say, voter problems if they wanted to go. Now they have choices in the Hagerstown area to go to Smithsburg as well. So this is a good selection here, and it is recommended for approval. And Barry Jackson is on the line to answer any questions as well about the site for your approval.
All right. Thank you very much, Jared. Is there a motion? Yes, go ahead, Jake.
Appreciate it, Mr. Chair, and thanks for the work. I'm looking through the packet and I see the comments, but I don't see the actual plan on there. And if I'm missing some, I have the full packet open in front of me that's on the State Board website. And if staff doesn't mind just directing me to which attachment I should be looking at.
Sure. It was, you know what, I will be able to forward you the email just in case here.
I appreciate it. It's just not on the packet that's available to the general public.
It was also, this is a site that was previously in the old packets as well. So maybe that's one of the reasons why, but it is now in your inbox. if-
Okay. In the future, can we just make sure that?
Yes.
Appreciate it.
With that being said, is there a motion to accept the proposed early voting plan for Washington County? Yeah, Jake.
Like to move.
All right, is there a second? It's been properly seconded. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It is unanimous consent of the board to approve the early voting plan for what proposed voting plan for Washington County. Yes, Jake.
I just think, Mr. Chair, I just want to thank Mr. Jackson and the member of the Washington County Board of Elections, Mr. Demarinis, your work on this for getting to this place. It's great.
Excellent sentiments. Thank you so very, very much, Member Weissman. I greatly appreciate that.
And by the way,
With-
this was
Yeah.
just, I think one of the things was Washington County had just basically finalized this on Tuesday. So it's been quite a little bit of a whirlwind to get this up and running. So I appreciate also the local director's efforts as well on this.
Thank you for that recognition. I greatly appreciate it. Now with that, moving on to item number 12 on the agenda, old business, approval of bylaws. Folks, we have looked and reviewed the bylaws. If you haven't, please let me know. If so, because it's been under a microscope here for a couple of months. We've put comments, we've shared edits and updates. We've received the bylaws back from the state administrator staff with those updates included. And I am now asking for a motion for approval of the bylaws. Yes, Member Weissman.
So move.
So moved. Is there a second? Seconded. Member Millicent, thank you so very much. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Major work, guys. Thank you so very, very much. So moved. Have for the approval, unanimous consent for the approval of Maryland State Board of Election bylaws. Now, discussion of the delegation of duties. And I know that, we've been dealing with this matter for some time, which is great. And I think we're going to have robust discussion on this. For the sake of everyone's time, I know that we've been having discussions, one-on-one discussions about this offline. But I'd like for us, and we've discovered that there's some history to this that we'd like to share with all the members in with regards to our deliberation. We want to get that out to you before our March meeting. Yes, Member Millicent.
Two sort of format things. One, if it's not, I assume this is an Excel spreadsheet. If there could be some sort of heavy line or extra space between the different election law sections, there's a whole bunch that are election law section 2 - whatever, and then 3, some way to separate it. It'll be a little easier to read. So that's just
Awesome.
Format to go
Yeah.
through it. But also, and again, this sort of, I think, came up in one of my one-on-one discussions. At the moment, things are indicated either delegate or, staff or whatever, delegated or not. But I think there's some things where both the board and the staff will be working together on it. And I don't think we have a single symbol you know, in that first column to indicate if there's any way that we could, again, indicate things that might be a shared duty rather than, you know, again, relating to the same section of the law, but something we would work on together. I don't know if that's legally feasible or not, but I think there are things where, you know, again, it's part of our transparency and cooperation. We both, you know, both Jared's group and our group will be consulting on things.
Right, correct. And I totally understand that sentiment because, you know, we are equally yoked here. We're working together. So a joint type of responsibility may be appropriate. And so once we get that format together that's more reader friendly and user friendly, you can cite that breakdown for us to discuss that in March. And there's also we also have legacy here, and hearing Vice Chair Volb's input on that in March to or even, you know, between now and March might be very, very useful as well in getting to a resolve. Is everyone okay with us pushing that until March? Okay. Thank you very much for those recommendations, Member Millicent, and thank you very much, Member Weissman, for your recommendations to move forward and reaching out. Greatly appreciate that. Also, now moving on to old business, letter C, media policy in a voting room. Jared, go ahead.
Yes, so in the past, we had presented for your approval a media access policy to the voting room. You had asked, you had directed me then to contact the Press Association to see if there are comments about it, and you had talked about media credentials on that. I had reached out to the Press Association. I finally contacted them. Well, we spoke a little bit on this week, and I found out that yes, they do issue credentials, and if anybody wants to go forth and seek some credentials or a paper from them, that they would give that to individuals that meet their qualifications as a media outlet. Additionally, they had mentioned that to me that the Broadcasters Association is a separate entity as well, and that they don't cover all the broadcasters, and that they also have media credentials. So, you know, I kind of went through that and figured out that that was fine. But in revising this, I believe a member had some comments that I had put into the policy now for approval, and I don't want to speak for that board member, so I guess I'll direct it back to the board member for their edits onto the policy for approval.
All right. Yeah. I think we're gonna. Does this need to be moved today?
No, it does
in
not.
order, because I want to put it back up top as proposed, out
Okay.
of old business, and I'd like for like what you mentioned, the broadcasters to be explicitly noted and stated in the regulation.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because it sounds like it's distinctive.
Right.
Set. So if you don't mind, let's move it out of old business for into March as proposed, right?
Okay.
And then and we have robust discussion under proposed reg to see what we can do to get it out to public opinion. Is that okay,
Excellent.
guys? Awesome. Thank you guys so very, very much. Yes, and see, this is the deliberative process for folks out there. This is what they, this is what I think helps us to be, effective in getting you guys regulations to review and comment on if possible. And if there's no comment, I think, it sets the process in motion with clear and resolute policy. Now, that's seems to be the mode of the day for prevailing going forward. So anyway, new business. No new business? Let me make sure. Okay, great. Thank you guys very much. Any disclosure of campaign contributions at this time? Seeing none, hearing none, move on. Scheduling next meeting in March. I have March 28th. Everyone's still good with that date? March 28th. It is the final Thursday of March.
Yeah, that's opening day.
Yes.
I would not be able to be here.
Okay.
And
March 20
I just
no,
want to say, if I could, Mr. Chair, pardon
yes, sir.
for turning my
No,
camera off a lot today, just for the public viewing too. I'm ill today, and I wanted to make sure I was here so we had quorum, but I'm not feeling well. So normally I would keep my camera on the whole time. So apologize for that. But that day does not work for me, because I'm a 28-year season ticket holder to the Orioles.
Oh, so okay, we'll talk about that offline there, Bill. Anyway, February 21st. That was a joke, folks, for anyone listening. This is a joke. All right, February 21st. How does that look for you guys? I'm good with that.
Do you mean March
March.
21st, Mr.
I mean
Chair?
March 21st. Thank you. March 21st, 2 p.m. work with everyone, or are they liking this 1:30? 2 p.m. All right.
I'm liking this 1:30.
Can we give the 2 o'clock a go? Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate
I'll be able to submit a report, but I won't be there on the 21st for the board.
Excuse you?
So if there are any questions, you can
Okay.
submit them and I'll file written responses to you before the meeting.
Sounds good. He's submitting requests for leave. Thank you very much, Council. Moving on. Thank you guys. March 21st, 2 p.m. All right. That moves us into and I thank you all for your sacrifice and being here, all of you. Greatly respect it. Thank you for leading the way, Member Vogt, on that commitment. With regards to our closed session, we are going to have a closed session. Now I need to know if we are going to come back to close the open session. There's no need to come back, is there?
There's no need.
No. So we will adjourn this from our closed session. Okay, and with that being said, the board will now consider whether to meet in closed session to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice as permitted by section 3-305B1, 7, 8, and 15 of the general provisions article. Meeting in closed session will allow the members of the board to hear a personal matter, seek and obtain legal advice with board counsel without waiver of the attorney-client privilege, consult with staff and legal counsel about pending or potential litigation, and consult staff on cybersecurity processes. May I have a motion to meet in closed session? There is a motion. Is a second? Is there a second? It's been properly seconded. Thank you very much, Vice Chair. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. And folks, let's meet back here at 3 o'clock, 10 minutes. All right. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you. All right, take care.